It is 6 p.m. in Dakar, 7 p.m. in Lagos. Good evening and welcome to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world at wagr.org. Here are the top stories. 2026 United Nations Water Conference opens in Senegal.
L'eau est indispensable.
Water is essential for maintaining the planet's balance and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. The water crisis is a global reality.
Reggae artists in Togo unite amidst a tense political climate. Liberian President Boakai praises his government's performance in State of Nation address.
We made progress across key sectors, including agriculture, infrastructure, education, health, and the rule of law, alongside important legislative initiatives.
And Nigerian university student unions threaten the nationwide practice of a poor state of federal roads. So please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Sankulu Jibril Janko.
Many thanks for joining us this evening. We begin in Senegal as the preparatory meeting for the 2026 United Nations Water Conference commences near Dakar. The event is currently taking place at the Abdou Diouf International Conference Center in Diamniadio. It is being chaired by the Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye. The head of state is calling for mobilization to advance the water agenda. Here is an excerpt from the statement by the President Bassirou Diomaye Faye.
L'eau est indispensable au maintien de l'équilibre.
Water is essential for maintaining the planet's balance and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Yet, as we all know, the water crisis is a global reality. According to the United Nations, 2.2 billion people still lack access to safe drinking water, and nearly 3.5 billion remain without adequate sanitation services, while 4 billion people suffer severe water shortages for at least 1 month a year. Africa is particularly affected by this crisis, with 40% of the population lacking access to safe drinking water and more than 70% lacking basic sanitation services. This is a morally unacceptable situation, and as long as it persists, our collective responsibility will remain engaged because water crisis fuel food crisis, weaken economies, displaced populations, and exacerbate tensions. Faced with this increasing precariousness of life, the cost of inaction is immense. It is measured in human lives lost, development opportunities compromised, social divisions exacerbated, and sometimes peace threatened. Therefore, it is essential to strengthen advocacy efforts to ensure that the issue of water remains central to climate action and the international agenda.
De l'action climatique et de l'agenda international.
Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye addressing the 2026 United Nations Water Conference, which began today in Diamniadio. Meanwhile, the Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko is in Morocco on a 2-day visit. Sonko arrived in Rabat earlier this Monday and will attend the 15th session of the Joint Commission for Bilateral Cooperation. Dakar and Rabat have committed to further strengthening their strategic ties. Abdullah Hassan tells us more.
Ousmane Sonko arrived in the Moroccan capital on Monday morning. His 48-hour visit comes in the wake of Africa Cup of Nations final in Morocco 2025. The final, which pitted Senegal against Morocco, was marred by clashes between supporters of the two teams. The Senegalese Prime Minister stated that he traveled to the Kingdom of Morocco to reaffirm the strength of relations between Senegal and Morocco.
This visit therefore takes place in the context charged with sporting emotions, regrettable incidents, and sometimes painful images for two deeply connected peoples. But its historical significance lies precisely in the remarkable ability of these two brotherly nations to prevent emotion from overpowering them and dictating their meaning. This trip does not aim to calm tensions. It has not pitted Senegal against Morocco. The excesses observed here and there should be neither denied nor dramatized. They should be reclassified as emotional outbursts born of fervor and not as political or cultural rifts. The 48-hour trip by the head of the Senegalese government falls within the framework of the major joint commission that has linked Morocco and Senegal for several decades. Since 1960, the two countries have collaborated in several areas including the economy, finance, higher education, health, and defense, among others. Since the beginning of their collaboration,
Dakar and Rabat have finalized more than 130 agreements and another 30 are currently under negotiation. Trade between the two countries has seen sustained growth in recent years. In 2024, Senegalese exports to Morocco were estimated at 24.7 billion CFA francs. Exported products included fish, peanut paste, cashew nuts, and horticultural products, among others. Conversely, Senegalese imports from Morocco reached 147 billion CFA francs in 2024. Morocco is one of the major African investors in Senegal. Its foreign direct investment in the country amounted to $136 million in 2019.
Abdullah Hassan filed that report. Also in Liberia, President Joseph Boakai has outlined his government's achievements for 2025. He named the improvement in road construction, the fight against corruption, ensuring transparency in government, including foreign direct investment. Other areas include gradual improvement in agriculture, economic recovery, and the fight against illicit drugs across the country. The Liberian leader made this statement while delivering his third State of the Nation address today at the National Legislature. President Boakai also explained his administration's plans for 2026. Here is an excerpt of President Boakai's address.
With average growth projected at about 6% from 2026 to 2028. Inflation fell to 4% by December 2025, the lowest in 2 decades, down from 10% when we took over in 2024. These achievements signal effective monetary and fiscal policies coupled with anticipated ease in import costs. Liberia's external sector performed well in 2025. Gross international reserve increased from $475 million in 2024 to $576 million, surpassing the previous year by $101 million. Net international reserve exceeded IMF targets, potentially reaching $280 million by December 2025, and export grew over 31% to about $2.1 billion. Our medium-term strategic and growth initiative, or Go Purchase program, is expected to further strengthen reserve, enhancing economic resilience. Proud to report IMF performance criteria in June 2025, reaffirming our commitment. The IMF external credit facility remains crucial for rebuilding reserve to cover 3.3 months of import by 2027, supported by prudent fiscal measures.
Liberian President Joseph Boakai delivering his third State of the Nation address.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Côte d'Ivoire, the new government led by Robert Bourg-Rumambe held its first cabinet meeting over the weekend. Installed on Friday, the 34th member state is almost identical to the outgoing one. According to the Ivorian executive, the priorities remain ensuring security, national cohesion, and access to basic services. One of the most discussed developments in Abidjan is the creation of the post of Vice Prime Minister, which has been given to Defense Minister Tened Brahima Ouattara. Have a listen to the views of political communication expert Nouruddin Oye-Ole on the formation of a new government.
Yes, many observers agree that government action has for some time been strongly influenced by the personality of Tened Brahima. He previously served as Minister of State and was entrusted with the defense portfolio, a crucial role in the context of the terrorist threat facing the country. He is widely seen as having managed that position with great skill, helping Côte d'Ivoire maintain stability. Today, Tened Brahima's personality is viewed as reassuring. He is regarded as legitimate and credible because people see him at work discreet yet highly effective. By appointing him Vice Prime Minister, many believe the president is signaling the direction he is shaping for the future and for the period after his own leadership. Observers now say a new leader appears to be emerging after Alassane Ouattara.
Political communication expert Nouruddin Oye-Ole. Meanwhile, in Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama says the country's economic recovery has moved far quicker than he anticipated when his administration took office. Mahama maintains that he took over the country during a period of severe economic strain. The president, however, says the pace of improvement has drawn attention from international institutions, including the IMF and the World Bank. Crossing over to Togo, reggae artists are uniting amidst a tense political climate in the country. United within All Reggae Star 228 Collective, they have officially released their first ever collaborative album. The album is a musical project carrying the message of unity, peace and national cohesion. Christopher Atichi reports.
Entitled Together We Are One, this collective album features 19 tracks performed by several prominent figures in Togolese reggae, both from within the country and the diaspora. The songs are sung in several local languages, including Mena, Ewe, and Kabai, as well as in French. Clement War Mitokbe, spokesperson for the collective, explains.
We are singing for the people, urging them towards peace and love. This album contains many songs that call upon the public. We are raising awareness and relying on the message God has placed within us and bringing them this message of peace and love.
Through this compilation, the artists aim to speak with one voice and invite Togolese people to unity, peace and love in a socio-political context marked by tensions.
Together we are one.
This country, if we truly want to take off, if we truly want to do things so that everyone feels comfortable, you are going to have to listen to us. This is a new national conference. When I say new, I mean something new that isn't done the old way. Keep working.
The All Reggae Star 228 Collective was established in the wake of the socio-political movement that Togo experienced in June 2025. Its objective is to contribute through music to the search for peaceful solutions.
Christopher Atichi with that report filed by our correspondent in Lome, Sylvie Wadrago. From Togo, we head to Nigeria, where student unions across tertiary institutions have threatened to embark on a nationwide protest over the poor state of federal roads in the country. This planned demonstration is set for February 4, 2026. The students complained that the condition of major highways has continued to claim lives and can no longer be ignored. WDI's Abuja correspondent Yachenu Sasetu reports.
The unions involved include the National Association of Polytechnic Students, NAPS, the National Association of Nigerian Colleges of Education Students, and the National Association of University Students. In a statement issued on Sunday, these student bodies expressed concerns that federal roads have become deadly corridors, claiming the lives of students, workers, traders, families, and transporters daily. According to the unions, the planned protest is not against the Nigerian government, but rather against institutional neglect, inadequate oversight, and the troubling normalization of preventable deaths on the nation's highways. Amid these concerns, the federal government has reiterated its commitment to the welfare of stakeholders in the education sector. The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, stated that government engagement with unions, improved welfare conditions, and ongoing dialogue are essential strategies to prevent strikes and ensure stability across tertiary institutions.
We need to pay them better. So in the preceding 14 months, we were engaged, talking to them, intense dialogue. If I've met with any set of people since I became Minister of Education, I've met more with the tertiary institution academic unions.
However, the student unions maintain that decisive presidential action is necessary to restore public confidence, protect lives, and realign national infrastructure priorities. For the WADR, Yechini Sasetu in Abuja.
You're listening to Newslink and West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. 2026 United Nations Water Conference opens in Senegal. Reggae artists in Togo unite amidst a tense political climate. Liberian President Boakai praises his government's performance in State of the Nation's address. And Nigerian university student unions threaten nationwide protest over poor state of federal roads. Still ahead in the news, we also have guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let's travel to the Central Sahel region now, as Burkina Faso is hosting the Sahel States Alliance experts meeting on strategically strengthening the alliance's media. This two-day event is being held under the theme Strengthening the Strategic Role of AE's Media in a Dynamic Geopolitical Context. The opening ceremony took place this Monday, January 26, 2026, in the presence of the Burkina Minister of Communications, Gilbert Ouedraogo, the President of the National Commission of the Sahel States, Basol Mabazi, and other officials of the AES. Imo Edet explains the details.
This meeting brings together delegations from Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, as well as media and communication experts. Over 5 days, participants will examine ways and means of strengthening the media in the three member countries. The gathering provides a forum for reflection, harmonization of approaches, and sharing of experiences among the three countries. According to Minister Pijawende Gilbert Ouedraogo, this initiative aims to contribute effectively to the promotion of values, strategic vision, public policies, and cooperation within the AES. It says the goal is to encourage the production of locally produced content to promote an authentic Sahelian narrative driven by the values, realities, and aspirations of the three countries in the alliance. The Burkinabe Minister of Communication also emphasized that the media must serve as a tool to defend the interests of the Sahelian people against international pressure. The conference will result in the signing of a memorandum of understanding aimed at enabling the media outlets of the Confederation and the public media of the member states to work closely together. These arrangements are expected to facilitate the sharing of information and programs, thus contributing to achieving the set objectives.
Imo Edet reporting there. To judicial matters now, we turn to the Gambia, where the country's judiciary has officially opened its 2026 legal year. The formal ceremony held at the High Court complex in Banjul as presided over by the Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallow. It was attended by President Adama Barrow, senior government officials, including members of the bench and bar, diplomats, and all the key stakeholders in the justice sector. The annual ceremony provides an opportunity to review progress in the administration of justice and outline priorities for the year ahead. WDR's Banjul correspondent, Sandra Almendi reports.
This ceremony highlighted the central role of the judiciary in upholding the rule of law and strengthening public confidence in the legal system. In his address, President Adama Barrow described the administration of justice as a fundamental pillar of democracy and national progress and reaffirmed his government's commitment to judicial reform, accountability, and the rule of law.
This event annually allows us to reflect on the status of our justice sector and to reaffirm our commitment to the rule of law and effective justice delivery. The administration of justice remains a cornerstone of our democracy.
For his part, the Gambia Chief Justice Hassan B. Jallow detailed the judiciary's 2025 performance.
In the course of the 2025 legal year, courts and respective judicial officers and support staff continued to focus on the core mandate of the judiciary. This task was and is always and will be a formidable one, given the complexity of the judicial process, the challenges posed by the increases in the case workload, the backlog created by the loss or the departure of members of the judiciary, and other challenges of the working environment. That overall, the courts rose to the challenge reasonably well, and I believe acquitted themselves reasonably well.
The event also provides an opportunity to review achievements, confront challenges, and set priorities for the year ahead in the justice sector, while underscoring the judiciary's central role in upholding the rule of law and strengthening public confidence in the legal system. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Santana Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
Politics,
analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest this evening is Evans Nuno, a Ghanaian economist. He provides analysis of President John Dramani Mahama's statement of a fast economic recovery. During the weekend, President Mahama stated that the country's economic recovery has moved far quicker than he anticipated when his administration took office. The president also said the pace of improvement has drawn attention from international institutions, including the IMF and the World Bank. However, to unpack the economic indicators supporting the president's claims, economist Evans Nuno joins us with his analysis.
Well, I think the data supports his views. If you look at the various projections and estimates in the 2025 budget, and you look at the realities, by the end of that year, you realize that there is variance. For example, the government in the 2025 budget estimated or projected an inflation figure of 11.5%. As at the time that budget was being drafted, inflation was around 23.5%. But at the end of 2025, inflation was dropped to 5.3%, single digit. So if you look at the projection of about 11% and the achievement of 5.3%, there is this huge variance, and that is beyond their anticipation or projection. If you look at GDP growth, I think it was around 3% thereabouts. They ended up, even for the first two quarters, it was about 5%, and overall it's about between 4.5%. So obviously they did better than they projected.
Which specific policies or reforms implemented by the current administration are most likely responsible for the pace of this recovery?
They started off with expenditure management, that is fiscal discipline, fiscal consolidation. So they set a very low budget deficit for themselves, and that is record low because it's below even the statutory figure of 5%. They did, I think, about 2.53%, and that meant that they reduced the size of the government and they did not spend anyhow. So that is fiscal policy. And then in terms of monetary policy, the Bank of Ghana also did well by not engaging in excessive monetary financing. So they were also cautious how much money balances they pump into the system. So I think that they got the fiscal policies right, and those policies were reinforced by prudent monetary policies. And overall, I think that the various people put in various positions in charge of ministries and the likes were also careful with how they executed the year's policies, because I don't think the time frame is enough for them to make any solid structural changes in the economy.
Are there underlying risks or vulnerabilities that may not be immediately visible despite the reported improvements?
Sure. For example, we manage the city largely through the increment in international reserves. We had a lot of international reserves because of what we call the domestic gold purchasing program through an institution we call Gold Board. And so because gold prices globally increased in the year under review, and also through the program, we were able to curb smuggling of gold, and we're also able to retain revenues from gold because Bank of Ghana had to release money to Gold Board to do domestic mobilization of gold. And then we sold that on the international markets, which brought in more reserves. However, the World Bank flagged some portions of that program in the sense that there was a loss of about $240 million that went against the account of Bank of Ghana. But then the real risk here is that if we do not work things out, diversify our exports and do other things, that would let the currency gain strength organically. It means that if the quantum of gold we are able to buy domestically reduces, if we're able to fight galamsey is illegal mining, if we're able to fight that drastically, it means that we could easily throw our hands up in despair. So the government would have to try and diversify our exports and also try and influence economic activities in the system so that the economy can organically take care of itself instead of attempting to manage it. Some people call it artificial management.
Evans Nuno is a Ghanaian economist. Well, in sports, the Confederation of African Football CAF has officially unveiled the timetable for the qualifiers for the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON, setting the stage for a highly anticipated qualification race across the continent. According to CAF, the qualifying campaign will take place later in 2026, beginning with a preliminary round scheduled for March. The initial phase will involve selected teams, while countries exempted from the preliminary stage, including the Leopards, will advance directly to the group phase of the qualifiers. CAF further announced that the group stage matches of the AFCON 2027 qualifiers will be played across 3 international windows in the latter part of 2026. The tournament will make history as the first AFCON to be staged across 3 countries in East Africa, underscoring CAF's commitment to expanding the tournament's reach and promoting football development across the region. The 2027 AFCON is scheduled to kick off in June 2027, with expectations already building for a vibrant and competitive championship. Elsewhere, in skiing news, Benin is set to make history by participating in the Winter Olympics for the very first time. The National Olympic and Sports Committee has confirmed the presence of geopards at the Milan Cortina 2026 edition, breaking a symbolic barrier for the nation and the spotlight of the winter scene. All eyes will be on young skier Nathan Chibozo, the sole representative and flag bearer of this unprecedented expedition. As he takes to the Italian slopes from February 6 to 22, he will carry the hopes of an entire nation and prove that passion for skiing knows no boundaries, not even those of the tropics. We've come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Umu Daniel Go for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X and Instagram at WDR News, and on Facebook, WDR English Service. I am Sankule Janko. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.